Hello and welcome to Money Markets and More with me, Dominic Frisby, on this wet and windy day from England's south coast. And it is chilly. It's only September, but it is chilly. Now, when I was 19, I started getting these weird heat rashes. Every day, whenever I got hot, I got these debilitating, paralysing heat rashes, and they would envelop me. Bumpy, burning, red wheals suddenly covered my body, and it was so itchy. You wanted to scratch everywhere, and though scratching brought you absolutely no relief. And once the rash started, there was nothing I could do. I just had to wait for it to pass, which would take about half an hour. And I didn't even have to get that hot, you know, that I broke sweat for the rash to come on. Just walking briskly would do it, getting flustered, wearing a layer too many, even just having a hot shower. And it came every day, usually mid-morning. Now, I thought it was stress that was causing it, but it was the other way around. These rashes were causing the stress. And I found a way of coping with it, which was to do intense exercise every morning and actually induce the rash. And then it seemed to burn itself out for the rest of the day. But then the next morning it would be back again. And I went to see the doctors about it. None of them knew what it was. And as GPs often do, when they don't know the answer, they sort of brushed it aside. Oh, it's probably stress, that kind of thing. I wasn't making it up. But unless I actually had an attack in front of the GP, there was no way of showing them what it was. And I went to see a dermatologist who gave me antidepressants. I went to see Chinese herbalist after Chinese herbalist. Then they all concocted these disgusting teas for me to drink. Lord knows what damage I did to my liver and my kidneys drinking that stuff. And I went to see an acupuncturist who declared brightly that he could cure it, but he couldn't. And it made my life a nightmare because you never quite knew when the rash was going to hit. What if it came on when I was on stage, or during that all-important meeting, or when I was with a girl I liked, and it was just a source of embarrassment when you broke out into this rash. And the condition disappeared, bizarrely, if I went to the tropics. Why, I do not know. But as soon as I got home, back it came. And then I noticed that the condition also disappeared in the summer. And what was that about? And I realised that the antihistamine I was taking for hay fever also prevented these rash attacks. But I didn't want to take antihistamine every day. It couldn't be healthy. So once the hay fever season was over, I would go back to keeping it at bay by trying to do intense exercise every morning and burning it off. And then when I got married and had kids, and I was about 30 at this point, it just became impossible to do that exercise regime. So I resigned myself to daily antihistamine. And this started with Claritin, which would be loratadine. Then I moved on to Zyrtec, which I hated because if I drank alcohol, it just used to get me incredibly drunk, and that led to a lot of bad decisions and mistakes. And then eventually one called Zizal, which I found I only needed to take every other day. Now, the potential long-term damage of sustained antihistamine use was a gamble I was prepared to make to avoid the daily nightmare of this condition. So, eventually, I discovered that the problem I had was a condition called heat-induced cholinergic urticaria. I went to see a specialist at St Thomas's Hospital, and there is no cure, she told me. Sometimes it clears up by itself, sometimes not. You are lucky that antihistamine stops it. For many, that doesn't work. And I volunteered to be a guinea pig so that she could experiment on me as part of her research into the condition. And I'd go into the hospital, have a hot bath, my skin would erupt, and then she'd sort of prod me and prick me and prod me and all the rest of it, and nod and mutter. But it got me no nearer to a cure. And here I am, 55 years old, and it has not cleared up. What is the cause? I'm still not quite sure if something I did caused it. Urticaria is from the same allergic school of illnesses as asthma, eczema and hay fever, from which I suffer a little bit. Asthma only really if I do exercise or I'm near cats, but it's kind of gone. So it might be hereditary or genetic, and it affects young men more than any other group, which is what I was. I've been on numerous forums where fellow sufferers discuss the condition, and a lot of us took the antibiotic tetracycline. I took it for years as a teenager to help with my acne. God, it makes me cross that I was allowed. I was even encouraged to take it for so long. Bloody doctors, or one doctor in particular, but he's no longer with us, so I won't name him and speak ill of the dead. And I'm sort of a bit cross with my mum as well, her blind trust in doctors. But anyway, I thought it might be tetracycline. And I'd spent 2 months in Egypt just before I got my first outbreaks, and I got very ill with giardia, which is a stomach upset form of dysentery, and maybe I lost some essential bacteria in my stomach or something like that, and I've got leaky gut. But I've taken 1 million probiotics and all the rest of it, just nothing like that worked. But also, before the very first outbreaks, I was in Milan, in a park late at night, and I got the shit kicked out of me by a group of young men. And I mean, I was properly beaten up. I was drunk in the park, and I made the mistake of fighting back, and that, meant I got even more kicked in. So maybe it was somehow related to that and the stress and the trauma. Or maybe it was the accumulation of everything. So, nature's magic superfood comes to the rescue. One of the unintended benefits of my health drive in recent years is that my asthma, which I've had since I was born, appears to have, for no apparent reason, gone. I haven't been near cats to test it with cats, but I no longer need my puffer to play football, and I don't know why. It might be an age thing, might be a health thing. I think it's a seed oil thing, and I'm going to talk about it another day. But anyway, I forgot to take my antihistamine for a few days, and I noticed that I wasn't getting urticaria anymore. And I thought, praise the Lord, I've got rid of my urticaria as well. And then, no such luck, as it turned out. It hadn't got away. I went abroad, and after a few days, it came back. And then I realised there was something that I had been taking at home, and I'd stopped taking it away, that now I'd gone abroad. And it made all the difference. And that mysterious ailment that you've had for ages, and you can't get rid of it, maybe this will sort it out too. So having read about the health benefits of bee pollen a couple of years ago, I started taking a spoonful of bee pollen every day. When my urticaria came back, I just remembered reading somewhere that bee pollen is a natural antihistamine. So while I was away, I went to a health food shop and I bought a pot of bee pollen there, and lo and behold, the urticaria went away. The bee pollen had been doing the job of the antihistamine. I'm not one of these people who thinks that, all Western medicine is bad, but I do think the sustained use of anything non-natural is generally not a good idea. I'm a fairly typical bloke, and if I can avoid taking medicine, I prefer to. And if there's a naturally occurring remedy, that's almost always preferable to a white pill. My friend suffers from very bad hay fever, and I told him to try bee pollen earlier in the summer, and then a few weeks later I asked him how his hay fever was, and he said it had improved and he couldn't understand why. Are you still taking the bee pollen? He said yes, oh yes, and realised that was it. So this is the entire point of today's little video. If for some reason you require antihistamine, try taking bee pollen instead. The best bee pollen is supposed to be that produced by bees close to you, but I just get this Bulgarian stuff off Amazon because it's super cheap and it seems to do the trick. But and a lot of people swear by bee bread, which is similar to pollen, but my general experience is that the bee pollen works better as an antihistamine, maybe not for the other stuff. Bee pollen is one of nature's superfoods. As well as allergy relief, it has all sorts of other properties. It's anti-inflammatory, it's rich in antioxidants, which means it's good for the immune system. It enhances energy, vitality, stamina. It's good for your skin, it's good for your digestion. It's full of vitamins, minerals, enzymes, which support health, and it's supposed to be very good for your longevity as well. And what's more is it tastes delicious. So, have a daily spoonful is my advice, and I'm going to write a more lengthy piece on the benefits of bee pollen at some stage soon. But that is your lot for today. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you for being a subscriber to this channel. Doesn't the south coast look lovely now? But it's chilly. And last thing, a word of warning. A mate of mine got stung by a bee a couple of years ago, and he had an anaphylactic attack, and that nearly cost him his life. So there is a small chance bee pollen will cause an allergic reaction. So be on the lookout for that. But in any case, thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, and I'll be back with another video very soon. Until then, goodbye.